This podcast is brought to you by Independent Building Advice. IBA acknowledges traditional owners of the land and waters this podcast is recorded on. If you find this episode helpful, follow us for more so we can continue putting out free value for all homeowners in Australia. It really goes a long way. Enjoy the episode.
Okay, today we are talking about one of the most important subjects that I think everybody should listen to this podcast who are building or renovating or extending, and that is building inspections. This is talking to an expert today about building, construction, why to get building inspections, why it's important, and actually checking with your builder to make sure that they're doing a great job. A lot of people are worried that they're going to upset their builder by getting a building inspector. Is that true? Is it not true? How's it viewed? And the person that I think could not think of anything one better for this, who we use all the time ourselves, Ben Black. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Ben. Yeah, appreciate the invite.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Now, Ben, your background is obviously you've been you're a registered builder. You've been a supervisor for many years. You decided that you thought, you know what, building inspection. You looked a bit into building inspections a long time ago, and thought, you know, this is something you'd be passionate about. And then you took the big jump and stepped into it. Is that sort of a synopsis of your background?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I was a building supervisor, building homes, and it's a pretty stressful job. You have the clients and the builder, the tradesmen, the suppliers, everyone's at you. It's a full-on job. But I looked at a different avenue. I thought, well, how can I have a job that I'm still involved in the building industry, but more the technical side and dealing with clients, a bit more hands-on, and start up this building inspection business. So I've been operating since 2017 now, and really enjoyed it.
Yeah, absolutely. You've been in the industry for 30 years? So.
Yeah, about 30 years now. Yeah, started my apprenticeship as a carpenter and did my carpentry apprenticeship, and worked as a carpenter for many years and did a bit of work over in Queensland as well, building timber frame homes as well. So they gave me a good insight of the construction of different. Over here we just build in, normally you have your roof carpenter does a roof structure and then your fixing carpenter, but over there they do the whole build. So that was good insight. And then came back to Perth and stayed in the building industry and worked for a builder, local builder, and then started this up.
Well, the builder you worked for was a high quality builder too, so you're used to a good level of quality construction. Exposure to that was
that was a great insight into the industry, and he was a great mentor to me, and took me under his wing, and still keep in contact with him to this day, and that was just a great insight into because as a carpenter you have a bit of a feel of other trades, but when you're as a supervisor you get exposed to every trade and learnt a lot during that time, so it was a great experience.
Well, someone told me a while ago that a roof carpenter is one of the better trades to get an overall view of the whole building process. But I do think that guy at the time was actually also a roof carpenter. Yeah. It might have been a bit biased, but is that sort of how you feel as well? Or?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, definitely. Yep. So them and also the bricklayers as well, the structural components of the home, they're the two trades that have a good understanding of, they're thinking about what's going to happen with the build and the next stage, and they have that in mind with the structural component side of things. So definitely, carpenters and bricklayers.
Yep, yeah, magic, absolutely. So look, the reason why I want to get you on the podcast is because, look, building inspections is a big part of what people do these days. I think it's really important for a number of reasons, which I want to go through with you today.
Yeah.
And obviously you do the majority of inspections that you do for our business that we recommend is yourself. And there's a reason for that which I want to chat to you about. But I think one of the, first of all, before we get into it much further, what are the different stages of a build that you recommend people get inspections for? Just to give people an overview. So let's say single story or two story. Yep. And I know you also do renovations and new homes and so forth. But what are the stages that people should get inspections and why those different stages?
So first of all is the slab inspection. Obviously that's the foundations of the home and it's structurally supporting everything above. So definitely the slab inspection is the first inspection we recommend. Then followed by the brickwork inspection. Then depending on if it's a two-story, the suspended slab would be normally inspected by a structural engineer, so they'd sign off on that. So it's no need to inspect that structural.
Yeah, that's the first floor slab.
Suspended slab. And then the upper floor brickwork inspection. Then the roof structures, the next inspection. Some inspectors do lock-up inspections. We don't think or feel there's a need for it because a lot of those items can be picked up at the practical completion inspection. You could throw in a waterproofing inspection there if you wanted to. Waterproofing inspections, you can only visually see it at the time, and there's no reassurance that the tiler isn't going to damage that waterproof membrane when they're installing the tile. So it's a bit of a grey area, waterproofing that side of it. A lot of companies now will warrant that waterproofing anyway. And then the final inspection is the practical completion inspection at handover. So we'll go and spend a few hours with the client on site and with the builder and go through with a fine-tooth comb and pick up any further defects. And we'll also jump back in the roof space once again, even though we may have inspected the roof structure, and just make sure insulation's in and roof flumes are, your ceiling fans are connected to roof flumes and things like that.
Yeah, magic. So just one item there. So practical completion inspection, just for people who aren't aware of this, that means that the home is basically almost finished. The client is basically you can habitate the house if you wanted to. And what that means is that trades come out there. The builder's gone out there and gone, okay, the home's pretty much finished. However, there's things outstanding, and that's where you go through that list with the builder, you meet them on site, get you involved with the inspection. And then at the end of that, when everything's done, you make a list of what needs to be done. The builder finishes that in a timely manner, and then the house is handed over. That's just for people at home. That's your understanding of it?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, so that list that we put together, normally the building contract is 10 working days for the builder to complete that, depending on workloads at the time and the industry, how busy it is. But normally it's 10 working days. Some builders may say, look, we're really inundated with work. We might have to push that back to 15 days.
Yeah.
But and then what the client will do with my report, they'll walk through after that 10 days, and they'll just go through and tick off each item off the list and make sure that the builder has fixed those items.
Yep, gotcha, absolutely. And then it's all done. So with the inspections, like if people don't get inspections, what's the problems that could possibly happen with their build?
Well, for example, you go from each stage, but let's say, for example, the slab inspection. We did one a few months ago now that was a half a metre too long, the slab. So bricklayer would have turned up and gone, hang on, I can't install the brickwork over this part of the concrete slab. It's too long by half a metre. So then the builder obviously had to then cut back that half a metre, install a new footing to support that part of the concrete. So it slowed the bricklayer up, or would have slowed the bricklayer up if he wasn't. If they weren't aware, then potentially that bricklayer may have gone to another job and they could have lost that bricklayer for another 4 weeks. So having another set of eyes running over the project is and independent is beneficial because as a supervisor, you're inundated with so many homes. You've got 30 to 40 homes that you're looking after, and supervisors just go. And a lot of times they don't even have time to check the dimensions of the slab and where it's positioned on the block and things like that. They're just trying to keep their head above water, to be honest. So
they got to do all the paperwork that goes with it, and that's a full-time job itself.
Yeah, they're just organising the trades, the materials to site for the bricklayer, and it's just chaos for a supervisor. So it's
Yeah, I heard a figure that one builder right there had like up to 70-ish homes per supervisor. It's pretty insane. Like that's, I heard a good number is like 24 would be like 18, 24, depending on the complexity. Is a manageable number. If you get to 30s, 40s, it's crazy. Let alone higher again. So it's you just don't have time to talk with the trades, check the work, and so forth. So
and as you say, the size of the home. So 25 is pretty good for a 2-story home, and probably single stories are 35 is probably manageable. For 40 is pushing it. It's you just don't have the time. You need time on site to pick up any of these defects and items that are going to affect the following trade, and without time, the guys are literally some of them literally looking out of their window and go, okay, slab's down, I'm on to the next site. I'll organise the bricklayer and materials and off. So someone like ourselves or a building inspector can spend the time detailed on site, point out any of these defects, which hopefully won't delay the build, and the builder can get onto it and go, oh, look, the slab's half a metre out, I need the concreter back and to cut it back and what have you.
I think you said two things that are actually saying it then. I think it's really important. That the one with the extended slab and also defects in that. See, a lot of clients that I speak to, they actually go, I said, look, have you thought about getting a building inspector? And they go, oh, no, I don't want a building inspector because, we don't want to upset the builder. We're hiring someone to check their work. They'll make them think that it's not good quality. Now, some builders, I can't speak for them, may have an issue with the building inspector, but most of the guys that I've spoken to actually quite a lot actually love it because it's not. I know there's a caveat here, depends on the inspector, but it's not that they're offended that how dare they get someone to check out work. It's like you said, another set of eyes. You're going, oh, wait, you know what? Missed that or didn't get time to get there. Someone's looking at our job, they're independent and saying, hey, you've got to fix this and this stuff. Oh, that's great, I'll get onto that. So you're almost doing their job for them. I think the majority of builders or supervisors out there won't take offence to you doing your job.
Yeah.
Is that right? Is that how you find it or not?
Definitely, yeah. And the way that we look at it, we don't feel like we're there to be against the builder. We feel like we're on the same page for the builder, the client. We all want the best outcome at the end, which is a good quality home that the client's happy with. And we will always, any defect, we'll reference back to the Australian standard or the engineering plans. We won't just say it's our opinion because at the end of the day, our opinion means nothing. We need facts to back it up.
Yep.
And once a builder, if we're referencing back to Australian standard, for example, they go, oh, yeah, that makes sense. And, yeah, we missed that. We'll fix that. And they're pretty open to that if we're backing it up with facts. And and as we say, we don't try and create an issue if it's not, but we'll point it out and make it clear and explain it to the client as well what would happen if that defect wasn't fixed and the related issues. For example, concrete slab inspection I did yesterday, the slab was 50 millimetres too long, so that meant that there would be no cavity inside the brickwork. So the effects with that would be that the exterior wall would absorb the moisture from the rain and it would transfer through the concrete slab, and then you would have moisture issues inside the house. So explain that to the client to say, okay, if it isn't fixed, these are the results that would happen. So try and put it in layman terms to the client as well. So it's
which is why I think you're great at what you do, and not just talking it up because you're in the room. But the fact that you do actually take the time to explain it, because some people just get a report, and I have no idea what that means, and then they hand it to the builder, and there's a lot of grey area. So the fact that they have someone they can chat to and say, hey, can you explain this?
Yep.
I think it goes a long way, and even help them resolve it with the builder potentially, depending on the situation. But the thing is though, so some builders, like I've actually, and with you, I've actually had, obviously I recommend you a lot, but I've had builders ring me up and say, hey, that Ben guy's great. If you're going to get anyone to inspect your homes, he's great. Now, I know why people say that about you. Why do some builders hate some inspectors and some love others? It's very general.
It is. And I guess, first of all, it's probably qualifications. It's probably the starting point. The industry isn't regulated, so literally
regulated.
No, it's not regulated at all. Okay, so currently there's a mortgage broker running around doing building inspections. There's an Uber driver. So they've gone and set a 2-day course, got a random registration number, and running out doing building inspections.
That can be a problem.
Yeah, it can. So by understanding the Australian standards and giving reference back to the codes, understanding the codes. It's a lot of information to understand with each stage of a build, and also not putting in defects that are premature that the builder's going to do at the next stage. There's no point putting that in there because really we know that the builder's going to do that. We'll check that at the following stage after.
When it's relevant.
When it's relevant, exactly.
Yeah. Just on that, so put that in context for people. I've had some clients who have gone their own inspections of who they feel is best. Cool. And they've had like 9 pages of all these notes on there. This is bad, this is attention, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But this might be a home that's at lockup, and basically it's basically at a point where they can do the internals. And then on this list of things like the door handle to this room is a bit wobbly or whatever it might be. You go, they'll fix it later. There's no point. We're not going to fix it yet. But it's almost like the supervisors are trying to justify their money to the builder, to the client, why they're being charged so much. But really that stuff's not relevant. But later on, like PCI, or practical completion inspection, that might be relevant. Well, that's definitely relevant then. Yeah. So it's the right information for the right person. I think if you're going to smash your builder with paperwork that's not relevant, then that's taking their time off from doing their real job, and that's making sure it's built properly.
Exactly. And by putting that information in there, it gives the client uncertainty about the builder, which is not well, I can't speak for every case, but it's not normally the case.
Yeah.
Those items are just not part of that stage yet of that build. So by putting those items in, it just creates uncertainty to the client. They sort of panic, is my builder doing the right thing? And really, those items just haven't been done yet, and there's a reason why they haven't been done. It's not part of the stage or process of that build. So it will be done at a later stage. Obviously, a practical completion inspection, if they're not done, then certainly, they need to be done and completed. One item, another stage of the inspection as well, is the maintenance period at the very end. So after, depending on the contract, but there'll be a 6 or 12 month maintenance period after handover, and the client will then get the opportunity also for the painter builder to come in with their painter and any settlement cracking or any sort of minor items that have became maintenance items. That's their opportunity once they move in as well to do that.
I hadn't thought of that. That's a good one to do it because just want to make sure it's done to a level of standard that's meant to be done.
And homes do settle on the block, and they will get a bit minor cracking around cornices and things like that. So that is very typical, and that's why that's in the builder's contract as well for those maintenance items.
Have you got any thoughts on 6 to 12 maintenance? Like what's best, 6 or 12? I hear completely conflicting opinions from people. Hearing from the expert, what do you reckon?
I would think 12 would be better.
Yep.
It gives it more of a chance to settle on the block. A bit more cracking may appear, minor cracking. So longer the better for me personally.
Yep.
6 months I feel is probably a little bit too early, but I'd push it back if I had the option.
25 years too long.
25 maybe just a little.
The maintenance guy's coming out. 20 more years. It's always a question. Like people will go, 6 months is better, 12 months is better.
Yep.
I think, I've heard conflicting feedback as to what's best for the builder. Yep. I've heard 6 months is better, but 12 months is even better because everything can go wrong. They can fix up at one point.
Yeah, the builder will probably dictate that in their contract as well and say, look, this is what we do 6 months, and 6 months it is. It's really probably the builder's call, but on that one.
Yeah, I think it's also one of those few things you can actually negotiate with the builder, that if you really want 12 months, most builders will be cool. Okay, well, we can make that 12 months, or if you want 6 months, I think. But the important thing for people to notice, unless it's a major defect, like your plumbing's gone or something, builder will generally only come out once and fix all those things. They're not going to come out multiple times.
Yes.
So you can choose that at 6 months or 12 months. But my other thing is, if you have a 5 mil crack in your wall, you probably don't want to wait 12 months to get that fixed. So it's that fine line.
Yeah, if there's something serious like a 5 mil crack, which is
that serious?
Getting on structural, then I'll be certainly calling out the builder straight away, and the builder a good builder would jump in the car and come out straight away anyway with that sort of size crack in the wall. Yeah,
you'd hope so, you've got to find a good builder. So I'll just jump in as well, as I think it's important to have inspections all the way through. So I'll tell some stories here, and I have no doubt that you can tell a lot more stories than I can, but I know I had a client that we really encouraged them to get inspections done, and they said, we'll just get the PCI inspection. And I came to that meeting with them, and I walked through their home, and when we went to the theatre room, the PowerPoints for the TV were off to the side. So it was, it had the TV in the middle of the room and it had all these points for the smart wiring off to the side. And I went there and I said, that's a bit odd. Pulled up the plan and it said centered.
Yep.
And obviously, the IT guy or supervisor thought, oh no, centered means off to the left, but that to me means in the center. But confused. Anyway, sort of so he goes, mate, what are you doing? It's the wrong spot. Blah, blah, blah. He goes, oh, mate, it's our prerogative. We can move it wherever we want. I said, well, it's meant to be in the centre. They had a cabinet lined up to be under the TV for that. And the guy goes, well, mate, the walls are up now. We've got the plaster in. We're about to hand over the home. It's going to take us 6 weeks to rip the wall down, redo all this. So it's a bit late now. And the client also, their rental was up. They had to move in, the whole thing. They didn't have time for that. So they just, in the end, they accepted it. But if that inspection had happened earlier, then that would have been caught at the right stage, at plate high stage. And then you could have done, or the client could have done something about that and get fixed up on the way through. And that's where I think the power of those inspections is really important, because you may not see something, but being the client, but you as the expert will probably, actually, no, that's not right. Let's fix that up. And that's where I see you better finding it as it happens rather than later. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah. So that sort of situation would be more roof structure inspection when they've chipping out the roof side of things. But yeah, definitely. And even homes that we inspect, we do a lot of pre-purchase inspections as well. And we find that a lot of homes that have been built in the last 20, 30 years, that people that haven't had practical building inspections along the way, roof structure issues, non-compliance items in the roof space.
Yep.
So as an average, I'd say half the homes have been built over the last 25, 30 years. We pick up these non-compliance items. So they're things that can happen if somebody doesn't get building inspections as well. They go and sell the home and be after 6 years builder's warranty, and then they're liable potentially to fix it if a roofing member fails or moves.
Yeah. So when you say pre-purchase building inspection, you mean as a condition in the contract, or?
Oh, so this is if someone's selling an existing home,
Yep.
so sale of contract, we'll come in and do a building and timber pest inspection.
Yep.
And part of that process is that we jump inside the roof space, make sure there's no termites, and also check the structural integrity of the roof space.
Yep.
And a lot of those roof structures we come across, a lot of building non-compliance items in that roof space.
I bet you can track that back to what year roughly they built it in because of how busy the market was or industry.
Yeah, the building codes changed as well. So, but we reference back as well, back to because we can tell when the termite sticker when the slab was installed. So we reference off that and yeah. So, but unless one of those, if it moves or fails, then we call it a major structural defect. Otherwise, it's an installation defect. So, yeah.
Well, actually, interesting on that. We had one the other day, which we got your help with. A friend of mine was basically settling his house, and he had the inspection done. And for a supervisor came out, so the building inspector came out, which wasn't you, and said, "Oh, this is a major structural thing you have to get fixed, and legally you have to fix these things." And he was freaking out because settlement was like in 2 days' time. He contacted me and said, "Oh, do you know someone that can fix this?" And I said, "Oh, I'm not sure, but Ben might know somebody who could do this. Send it to you." And then you came back and well, actually, that's not a structural defect. You don't need to fix that. So rather than getting someone to fix it, he didn't need to fix it. He did fix it in the end because he thought it's easier than having a complaint with the client. But that should never have been picked up as a major default. And I imagine that you would see that a fair bit where being actually have a building to yourself that you can actually build homes, that you're seeing things correctly where others, inspectors who were a finance broker yesterday, might be missing that. Is that how you find it or see it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so we'll still put in our report, but we'll put it in as an installation defect. So if it's proven the test of time that it's not going to move or fail, we occasionally do see, like, for example, I won't get into technical terms with struts and rafters, but sometimes a bit of movement in the roof space. And if we do start to see them moving with the underpilling or something like that, we will call it a structural issue because it is starting to move. And so there are occasions when we do call that if we see evidence that it is starting to move or fail. But some of these homes as well have been standing for 30 years, so it's proven over the test of time that it's structurally sound. And also all our clients are covered under our professional indemnity insurance. We've done over close to 6,000 inspections, never had to use our insurance, but it's
busy day.
Yeah, it's there to protect our clients and give them that reassurance. And as we say to each and every one of them, if it ever moves or fails, then more than happy to come and fix it, and you'll be the first one to use it.
Yeah,
But,
60,000 a day or so.
No, 6,000 since we've been operating.
It's a lot of inspections, mate. That's a lot, and you'd see all sort of kind of horror stories out there, I'd imagine.
Yes, the termite side of things as well, and I guess we're getting away from the under construction type scenarios. But there are situations where, especially the older homes, someone hasn't been in the roof for 15 years or whatever the case may be, and you do start to see a bit of movement or failure and things like that. So
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. And how do you find climbing in roof spaces all the time with spiders and snakes and all sorts of rats sort of thing in some of these older homes? You love that kind of stuff? Bear Grylls of the roof or something?
Yeah. I don't mind wildlife, but one animal I hate is spiders.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the one thing I hate. I don't mind snakes or crocodiles or whatever, but but no. So, but I've got used to it over the years, and I'm just there. 5 minutes of focusing, and just looking around for any termite activity or structural integrity. I've learned also that a lot of time the spiders are more scared of you. So, but they're not the most enjoyable places, and especially crawling under a house. The older homes as well, the subfloor. You can get. Luckily, I'm not claustrophobic or climbing some of those areas, but it's can get pretty squashy, but it's got to be done. It gives the buyer reassurance that you've been thorough and gives them peace of mind.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, that's what it's about, peace of mind. The other thing with peace of mind, though, and this is actually, I think people don't think about this, is that if you're building a home, and let's say you're halfway through construction, and that builder, for whatever reason, goes under, the next builder that takes over, they have to look at that job and they're liable for any problem that it happens. They're taking on the whole job, right? Yeah. So sometimes they're going to go, especially if they're busy, they're going to go, well, it's not worth me doing it. I'll just build my own because I know what's happened. Why would I risk taking something that's not liable? So I recommend to everybody, and this is why I think it's important, that you have a building inspection done, because then at least you have a report that you can give to a client and go, hey, this is the quality that's been done. So that client can go to their builder and go, hey, this is the quality that's been done. They go, okay, well, that's a good quality build, we're in. And you're a third party, you're not biased. So I think that's a massive win for clients, or a security thing for you. If that happens, hopefully not, that you're going to find it easy to find a builder.
Definitely, yeah. Having that backing of a building inspector that's, as you say, not biased throughout the whole process and has picked up defects gives that new builder reassurance to say, okay, well, they've had a second set of eyes looking over this, and certainly would go a long way to attracting a new builder that has that reassurance.
Yep. So, what kind of things are you seeing on site these days that shock you? Like, anything. Or is it all good? And that
Oh, look, you have your moments. You get there's one particular builder I won't discuss, but mention. But they had only been they're an engineer, and they just recently got their builder's license and didn't have a lot of understanding of actually the Australian standards, and that they did a few builds up north of the river, and they were a shocker. I was actually having to explain to the carpenters of what needed to be done to comply to the Australian standards, and that was a bit of a difficult one. They did 2 or 3, and the first client then referred me on to their friends and that were building with the same builder, and that was a builder that went under, and then he took over and didn't really understand the standards. And they said that they'd never actually seen the builder on site. So that was a bit of I felt really sorry for those particular clients. But in general, builders, it really comes down to the supervisor. The supervisor is one of the key people on site, and their the quality of their tradesmen that they have access to. So, and it's very hard if you're a client of saying, okay, I want to interview the supervisor, because a lot of times that's the quality is going to fall on their shoulders. But if they're able to somehow speak to a supervisor and work out that quality, that's, I think, the biggest key with any builder is the supervisor and their access to good quality trades.
I say there's 2 parts. I reckon the consultant you get at the start, the sales consultant designer, and the supervisor, because either one of those 2 people are terrible, you're in for a bad trip.
Yes,
it's not going to be fun for you. So you find the quality of construction out there overall pretty good at the moment, or you finding it improving now that the COVID's probably not as hectic as it was? And it's still very busy, don't get me wrong, but 18 months ago it's not as hectic. Are you finding it improving, or still hit and miss? Or
bit of hit and miss, yeah. It is. I'd say slightly improving. It is slightly improving. I guess some of the so-called Cowboys tradesmen have left the industry, but having an inspector overseeing each trade is being able to pick up these defects before handover is the key, and putting those items in the report, and at least the supervisor can then get on and pick up those types of items. But we still identify a few some issues, such as recently we did a inspection on a battle axe block, a rear house. Did the final practical completion inspection, and I went to test the gas cooktop, and there was no gas. So I went to the gas meter box, and there was no gas mains. Oops. And so the supervisor wasn't even sure if the run-in had been done down the driveway, which is probably about 40 metres long to the house. It was fully paved, and that was one scenario where the supervisor just didn't know. He's like, I'm not sure if the run-in's been done. I was looking at all this paving that freshly laid and thought, oh my God, that's a huge issue. But anyway, that's on top of some things you come across. Yeah,
it's funny when you do an inspection for me. Normally I don't hear anything from you, and I get the report. But it's funny that you call me for one of 2 things. One, Bayan, that's some of the best brickwork I've ever seen. It's amazing. Or, Bayan, that's some of the worst brickwork I've ever seen. And it's quite funny because we don't just inspect our own, we inspect other people's homes as well. And sometimes they want to build it that they've chosen. We go, cool, we'll advise you and then bring you in. But it's quite funny if I know you're doing an inspection and I get a phone call from you and says it's going to be really good or really bad.
Yeah.
But that's the thing though, is like we had that one in North Coogee where you had inspected and you said, look, this is terrible. It was actually a high end sort of builder. And it was known for their quality, and you rang me and said this is terrible. Like, it's not really a good product.
Yeah, there's walls out. There was flashings missing. There was so many non-compliance items throughout that build, and the builder ended up having to get a structural engineer out.
Well, that was our suggestion.
Yeah,
it was. But what was interesting though is the builder wanted to meet you on site. And go, oh no, we'll show you how it's good quality construction. And I was saying to the client, you don't want that. Like, you got a referee telling you you're out of line, and then you want them to tell the referee that you're okay.
Yeah.
And then we suggested you get the structural engineer out, and then they did. And
yeah, they made some changes, but yeah, that was in that situation, we'd say to the builder, look, we're still standing by unless we've referenced back to the codes where it doesn't comply, unless you can provide evidence otherwise, and our report stays as it is. And that's why they had to, as you recommended, for them to get a structural engineer to assess it, and they had to make some changes and put flashings in and things like that. But that was one of the ones I remember calling, going, mate, this is not good. But as you say, also on the other way, where a great bricklayer, I've called you before and gone, this is amazing. I'm happy to give out compliments as well. And at the end of builds, handovers as well to clients. I'll really pat the supervisor on the back if it's a good quality home and say, guys, he's done an amazing job. And it's a good quality home you should be really happy with. And I'm more than happy to give builders a pat on the back.
Yeah, and that goes a long way coming from you rather than some punter off the street.
Yeah.
So, no, absolutely. Do you think having an inspector there, or the builder knowing the inspector, that'll lift their game? Do you reckon that not always, but in some cases?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think it comes down to the personality of the actual supervisor on site, and some of them just rely on us to do their job in a way a lot of times, especially at practical completion inspection, and they haven't done their own punch list before handover. That's when it becomes really frustrating, and sometimes I get my back up with supervisors with that and saying, look, we're not here to do your job. We're here to go through the fine-tooth comb and go through the house, and it needs to be finished. So I think that some have a bit of pride in their workmanship and will certainly go, I'm going to hand this over as best I can, even though I've got somebody looking over my shoulder, but that's fine. And I think it comes down to the individual personality of each supervisor, and some just don't care as well.
No, it's true, absolutely. I do what I do. But that's the thing though, is that if you build a home and you get it checked, at least you've got a fresh set of eyes looking at the things that you're not looking at. But then also that if that supervisor doesn't care, it's written down, it's documented, this is what we need to do. And then also that if it wasn't done, right, what happens then? Let's say something's not done. What's the let's say I do a slab inspection, things are missing. What happens from there with the reports going on further in the build?
Well, it's a tough one with that, depending on the situation. But either if it's a serious defect, then the client has the opportunity. If the builder's saying, no, I'm not going to do anything about it, then they can either not make payment on that. They can go to the building commission and say, look, we're really worried about
XYZ.
Yep, and then the building commission would have to make a suggestion on what should be done from there. We also, at each stage, we'll, for example, if we pick up defects on the slab inspection, then on the brickwork inspection, we'll then reference back on the previous defects. We'll check them to make sure that they've been fixed. If they haven't been fixed, they stay in the report, and they'll stay in the report the whole way through to the handover. So we are cross-checking from the previous inspection, taking them off, but it's a case-by-case scenario of what happens if they're not fixed. But certainly if they are serious, for example, that overhanging slab that I mentioned yesterday, that cause some serious moisture issues to the slab and moisture into the skirting and flooring and things like that in the future. So, items like that certainly need to be fixed.
You can't ignore them. You can't, well, here's the report, thanks. But,
and a builder would want that fixed as well, because they don't want the hassle of years of a client phoning up, oh, look, my skirting boards are swelling because the building inspector put in the report, you didn't do anything about it, and now I've got these maintenance issues. So then they go back to it's best for the builder to fix them then and there, because that's the cheapest point, is to do it while the slab is exposed, where there's no brickwork installed. So,
no, I hear, it makes total sense to get it done while it's fresh and the trade's there and the whole thing as well, or was recently there, so they remember the job as well.
Yeah, and some clients as well, though, if it's some minor items. For example, perp joints, I won't get too technical, but being above the Australian standards and width, some builders just don't do anything about it. And I say to them, look, it's not going to cause any structural issues, but it could cause minor cracking, settlement cracking in the future. At least you know where these cracks are. If these cracks develop in the future, you can go back to your builder and say, look, it's in the report. You didn't do anything about it. And these are now the consequences. It's cracking due to you not fixing those items. So why don't you come back and fix it? Otherwise, rip the wall out, which they're not going to do, and build it properly. So they've got a bit of reassurance, I guess, by having those reports in the future. If maintenance items start appearing, there's a reason why.
Yeah, and also for people that don't want to get inspections are because they think they're going to offend their builder. Well, it's actually easier to have you say it's bad than me say it's bad if I'm a client. So I can say, oh, this is what the inspector, Barley's, I'm on your side. So you're almost handballing the complaints to somebody else.
Yeah.
Rather than having to deal with that yourself.
Yeah, it is. And I still don't understand that theory of you want to offend the builder. Obviously, you're all on the same side, but at the end of the day, you want a good product too. So it's like buying a new car and it's got a couple of dents on the side of the side panels. You're like, well, I'm buying a new car here. I expect a new product. So it's the same as a builder. As long as you're realistic about the defects, giving evidence, then really most builders are pretty open to that.
Yeah, well, I think it's more so, I think most people go to a hairdresser and they get a bad haircut. They go, oh, no, it's great, it looks great. And they vow never to go there again. I think people just don't like confrontation. So they would rather go, oh, I don't want to upset them, but aren't they upsetting you if it's not done properly? So I think it makes a lot of sense to get it done.
And being the building inspector, you can go, well, that's what he said. So he can be the bad guy. And and we're happy to go back and forth with builders as well, with correspondence. And there's some points where we put in and the builder's gone, oh, well, actually, we've done it this way because of this. And we've looked at it and gone, well, that makes sense. That will still perform like it should. So it's deemed to satisfy. And we're open if the builders, commenters make sense and they've thought about it doing it a different way. As long as it still complies and it's fit for purpose.
Yeah, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Look, Ben, thank you for the information. You've been amazing. And look, we could talk about this for hours because there's so many more questions I could ask. But we will ask you, but in another podcast coming up in the future. But thank you for coming on. Really appreciate it. You've been great. But we have one more question to ask you, and that is the $10,000 question. So that is you're building a house, renovating your home. You're looking at, you want to basically get this house just right. Then all of a sudden a relative has, left you $10,000 in their will or something like that, but you must spend it on your home. What would you spend the money on? More inspections?
More inspections, well, actually, yesterday I got my power bill and it was through the roof. So I think I would invest in a good quality solar panels and inverter to save on power. It's a bit of investment for the future. If you've already planned on installing those in your build, well, then I'd probably get a battery as a backup. There is government grants around at the moment. You might be able to get both actually with a cheaper version. But I'd think solar power and trying to reduce some of those bills.
Great answer. Absolutely. No one likes a good bill, and I think they're great. I think people have to be aware of that they get the kilowatts that they need for the home and get it assessed properly. I think that's a great answer, mate. I really appreciate it. So, hey, thank you for being on Total Home Inspections. You guys do a great job. Really, you're our primary inspection company that we use. Never had a problem there. So, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thanks, Payne. Appreciate the chat.
Thank you very much. Awesome. If you like this content, please leave a review or a comment. Follow us, of course. We've got content coming out very regularly with experts that we're going to talk to in the industry. It really tells us good feedback, whether we're on the right track or wrong track with those reviews and those comments. So please do that. And thanks again for coming on. We look forward to getting you on again in the future.
Appreciate it. Thanks, mate. Awesome.